Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and look at the absolute, undeniable physical realities driving today's AI boom. We constantly hear about the mind-blowing computational power of the latest GPUs, right? But there's this untold story, the real bottleneck, and it's all about how we wire these things together. Today we're unpacking a massive paradigm shift in data center architecture. We're going to look at why the old established rules of networking are literally being ripped up, and why a strict one-to-one networking fabric isn't just nice to have anymore. It's an absolute mandate. So think about this for a second. What actually happens when a single, faulty network cable stalls a $100 million AI training cluster? Keep that question in the back of your mind as we go through this, because the financial and operational stakes here, they're higher than they've ever been. We aren't talking about a web page loading a second slower, or your streaming video buffering. No, we're talking about tens of thousands of hyper-expensive accelerators sitting completely idle, just wasting money, all because a microsecond-scale traffic jam popped up on a single switch somewhere in the building. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The legacy network crisis. 2. How AI breaks networks. 3. The one-to-one fabric mandate. 4. Optics, power, and heat. And 5. Redefining value with goodput. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The legacy network crisis. For years, the industry standard for enterprise computing was this cost-effective 3-to-1 oversubscription ratio. It was basically a highway system built on the assumption that not every car is going to hit the road at the exact same time, right? And the math totally made sense for general compute. It saved a ton of money on switch hardware. But that exact same highway, it's a massive traffic jam waiting to happen for AI workloads. AI doesn't do bursty, independent traffic. It demands that every single link operates at maximum speed simultaneously. So that 3-to-1 design is basically a death sentence for AI training. We absolutely have to have a one-to-one, non-blocking fabric.
Section 2. How AI breaks networks.
Let's talk about the all-reduce collective. This is a barrier-synchronized operation where every GPU in a cluster exchanges locally computed gradients simultaneously. Basically, when you train a massive AI model, you break the math down and farm it out to thousands of GPUs. But periodically, they all have to stop, share their homework, combine their results, and sync back up before taking the next step. And here's the kicker. During this synchronization, your entire network runs only as fast as its absolute worst-performing link. If you've got 10,000 GPUs and 9,999 of them finish their transfer, the whole cluster just sits there, completely idle, waiting for that one delayed packet. In a ring all-reduce, data scatters and gathers, and it proves exactly why every GPU needs a dedicated non-blocking path. Massive chunks of data are rotating through the network from neighbor to neighbor. This isn't random web traffic, it's this meticulously choreographed dance. And without a one-to-one fabric giving every single GPU its own dedicated path, that delicate dance instantly turns into a massive pileup. Suddenly, your unbelievably expensive compute cycles are just vanishing while the GPUs wait on the network.
There's a great concept that says this tyranny of the tail transforms network reliability from an availability concern into a direct GPU utilization metric. Historically, network engineers were, celebrated for 5 nines of uptime. Just keeping the network up was the goal. But in the AI era, uptime is just the absolute bare minimum baseline. The real metric now is tail latency. The tyranny of the tail means that just one degraded optical transceiver or a single misconfigured buffer threshold on one switch can drag an entire 10,000 GPU cluster down to a crawl. The network and the GPUs aren't separate anymore. They're effectively a single, tightly coupled organism.
0.1%. Just a 0.1% packet loss rate can slash the effective training throughput of your entire cluster by 10 to 30%. That is a staggering financial penalty. Think about that. In normal internet traffic, losing 0.1% of packets is completely unnoticeable. TCP just casually asks for them again. But in a barrier-synchronized operation, protocols like ROS CV2, which move data straight between GPU memories, have to completely retransmit drop data. It's literally like dropping the baton in an Olympic relay race. The whole team has to stop, go back, and run that entire leg over again. That tiny fraction of a percent of loss snowballs into a massive multi-million-dollar hit. So lossless transport isn't just a nice option, it is a hard prerequisite.
Section 3. The one-to-one fabric mandate.
So how do we fix this? Enter the spine leaf topology, which eliminates STP loops, uses ECMP to load balance across all active links, guarantees exactly 2 hops between any 2 servers, and delivers strictly non-blocking one-to-one bisection bandwidth. Based on telephone switching theories from all the way back in the 1950s, this architecture replaces the old 3-tier hierarchical model. Every leaf switch connects to every spine switch. This gives us a totally predictable deterministic hop count. Any server reaches any other server in exactly 2 hops. Plus, it completely bypasses the massive 50% bandwidth waste of legacy spanning tree protocols and uses equal-cost multipath routing to balance traffic across every active link. This is how we actually get the full one-to-one bisection bandwidth that those all-reduce operations demand.
But having the topology isn't enough. You need strict congestion management. Step 1. Assign AI traffic to a dedicated DSCP priority class. Step 2. Configure ECN to fire at 20 to 40% buffer occupancy. Step 3. Enables sub-second streaming telemetry at 100 millisecond intervals. To keep that one-to-one flow absolutely pristine without dropping packets, engineers have to manage microsecond-scale bursts. You put AI traffic in its own VIP lane. Then, you use explicit congestion notification, or ECN, to basically tell the sending servers to tap the brakes before the switch buffers overflow. And finally, standard 5-minute polling intervals are useless here. They'll completely miss the split-second traffic jams, ruining your AI jobs. You need 100 millisecond streaming telemetry to actually see what's happening in real time.
Section 4. Optics, Power, and Heat. So pushing all this data has severe physical consequences. 224G SerDes technology limits copper reach to under 1 meter, forcing a massive migration to co-packaged optics to save power. As we push speeds up to 800G and eventually 1.6 terabits, electrical signals degrade incredibly fast. Standard passive copper cables are basically useless beyond a single meter. We're now forced to integrate optical engines directly onto the switch silicon itself. Traditional optical plugins just use way too much power pushing signals across a circuit board. So moving to co-packaged optics, putting the laser right next to the writing chip, cuts power consumption by up to 40% per port. And in this new era, power is literally everything. 130 kilowatts. That is the thermal output of a single NVIDIA NVL72 rack. It utterly shatters the 41 kilowatt ceiling of traditional air-cooled environments. Just to put that into perspective, for decades, a highly optimized, state-of-the-art air-cooled rack maxed out around 30, maybe 41 kilowatts. Now, we are stuffing more than 3 times that amount of thermal energy into the exact same physical footprint. Air cooling has officially hit a brick wall. It physically cannot carry that much heat away from the chips fast enough. No way. Because of this, cooling distribution units and pipe manifolds are now a prerequisite, not just an enhancement. Managing the insane heat rejection of a one-to-one fabric means you have to use direct-to-chip liquid cooling manifolds built right alongside the network cabling. This is a massive shift for operations. Network engineers aren't just dealing with fiber optics and Ethernet anymore, they're literally dealing with plumbing. These racks weigh well over 1,000 kilograms because they are packed with fluid and heavy metal cold plates. You're carefully routing fragile, pristine optical cables around giant water pipes. The data center is no longer just a room full of independent IT gear, it's basically one giant integrated water-cooled machine.
Section 5. Redefining value with goodput.
Let's talk about goodput. It's the useful work delivered by the network per second, directly driving model training progress rather than protocol overhead or retransmissions. Optimizing your network for goodput is exactly equivalent to recovering lost GPU revenue. It ties your architecture straight to the bottom line. Historically, we looked at link utilization to see if a network was busy. But think about it. If your network is 90% utilized, but 15% of that is just dropped packets being desperately resent, that's incredibly inefficient. Goodput strips away all that noise. It only measures the data that successfully advances the AI model. High goodput means your hyper-expensive GPUs are actually doing math, not just sitting around waiting for delayed data. If we compare training fabric priorities against inference fabric priorities, the differences are huge. Training demands one-to-one non-blocking bisection bandwidth, lossless raw CV2 or InfiniBand, all-reduce optimization, and rail-optimized topologies. Inference focuses on P99 tail latency, KV cache bandwidth, tolerates 3-to-1 oversubscription, and prioritizes jitter control. There's a massive distinction here. When we generate responses for users, which is inference, we might actually be able to get away with some of that old 3-to-1 oversubscription. But training is absolutely ruthless. It demands that one-to-one non-blocking bandwidth to contain congestion. If you mix these two up, you are looking at some incredibly expensive hardware mistakes.
So if your network defines your economic output, are your procurement decisions today ready for the million accelerator AI factories of tomorrow? I want to leave you with that final thought. Mastering this one-to-one fabric design is the ultimate bottleneck breaker for the next decade. We're moving from tens of thousands of GPUs to hundreds of thousands, limited only by the power grids of entire cities. The network is no longer just connecting the computers. The network is the computer. So is your infrastructure ready for that reality? Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep questioning how we build the future.